So, Bud, let's John Sumrall, Alex Golesh, Ryan Silverfield, rank them in terms of how enthused you are and take into consideration a grading scale of what each job's expectations are when it comes to the coach.
I would say thumbs up for Auburn and Florida. Like Garth's saying about, right? Unanswered prayers.
Mm-hmm.
I think you got some, like, somewhere between very competent to really good head coaches who have proven they can, they have Power 5 experience. They were good recruiters at the Power 5. When they were at a Power 5 school, that school did really well, I think, in large part to what they did. Then they went and proved they can be a good head coach, I think, in a lower league. So you have some of the, P5, like recruiting chops, assistant chops. You understand how a good P5 operation operates. You have good connections. And on Arkansas, I think, like, hiring Silverfield, a guy who really couldn't get it done at Memphis, despite the fact they have FedEx money. I just think, like, Arkansas was not a desirable job in this cycle. I think, like, all their stuff about how they're going to spend money, at least from what I had heard, is bluster. So I don't buy that Arkansas is going to start spending. So I can't say he's going to fail there. Most coaches fail. So I have no idea. Like, Tom, say the line.
It's a great hire for all of them. I have no idea if it will work out.
Exactly.
Do Arkansas fans, now that they've hired Ryan Silverfield, do they all owe Bud an apology for telling you the truth for the last however many months about the situation?
I mean, you can owe it, but I can't collect on that debt. It'll never come.
What do you mean?
But, like, they'll never admit it that the, like, they don't have, they might have money, but they don't spend the money.
And that's, again, we don't know how it's going to work out. Ryan Silverfield go to Arkansas and win a bunch of games.
Right.
But it's just this hire for me, if I'm an Arkansas fan, kind of signifies that we're not all that serious at competing with the big boys when it comes to the money we have to spend in football. We're clearly more interested in basketball and even baseball a little bit right now. We don't have that available. So, because, again, like Bud mentioned it, like, Ryan Silverfield has been at Memphis for a very long time. He is 27-21 in conference play with the Tigers. He has never won the league, but Memphis is routinely one of the favorites to win that league every single year because, again, with the FedEx money, they're able to spend at a level that most of the schools in that league aren't. And I joked before the show, Ryan Silverfield is the Hugh Freeze of Jason Candles. Like, that's pretty much how I feel about this hire for them.
Now, like, they do have to at least pretend that they care about football. Otherwise, the SEC would kick them out.
Correct.
Right? But, like, it's very clear they want to win in basketball and baseball. So you kind of got to just pretend that you care about football enough, right? Like, okay, I'll say my line, like the chat says, take the checks, take the losses. Somebody in the SEC has to lose ball games. I think Arkansas fans would be happier if they were back in the Big 12. I've said this for a long time. You would be much more competitive. You would have a chance to win games on a weekly basis.
For the two thumbs ups, let's start with Florida. At one time, a part of the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes, we have discussed. We discussed John Sumrall as a no nonsense, go make the move hire for Auburn, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn 100% thought they had Sumrall until Florida whiffed on Kiffin, and then he just took a better job.
Is that the way you read it? Florida whiffed on Kiffin?
Yes. If Florida had gotten Kiffin, I 100% think that Auburn was pulling the trigger immediately on Sumrall. I think that had been done for a while.
Is that going to be frustrating for John Sumrall and for John Sumrall's supporters that there's a portion of the fan base that sees that Florida just hired another coach from the group of five after spending months in a fever dream, if not a year in a fever dream about Lane Kiffin? And if the narrative is, and look, I'm just saying, if the narrative is we whiffed, we screwed this up. I mean, Scott Strickland has become very memeable for the angry Florida fans out there. That's a tough environment to walk into, even if you are a very good coaching candidate. The idea that a lot of this fan base is like, wow, we settled.
Look, I don't disagree with that as far as I don't disagree that is the sentiment of the fan base.
Correct. And it is a fan base ass sentiment.
People are going to think this is crazy, but, like, I would rather have John Sumrall at what it costs to hire John Sumrall, given how often coaches fail, than to drop what, $100 million for Lane Kiffin, considering the buyout and, like, how much it would cost to get him there. and the fact that like he's failed at 2, what do you want to call them, like championship expectation jobs, whereas Ole Miss is not a championship expectation job. He failed at USC, he failed at Tennessee, right? Like, is he all of a sudden going to kick this thing into hyperdrive and recruit really well? Maybe LSU is that damn good that you can do it and recruit itself. I think there's actually like some truth behind that. Yeah, for sure. But I think Sumrall is a hell of a hire. And if you're Sumrall, you're looking at it like, okay, yeah, Miami spends in this state for sure. Florida State is an absolute shit show. Like, he was Kentucky's best recruiter under Stoops, and like they played nasty defense and pulled a bunch of upsets when he was there. Troy was basically kind of a dumpster fire when he took over with all the stuff going on behind the scenes there. He won the league at Troy, twice? And like those guys play hard for him. They play hard-nosed defense. I like that he has not relied on a superstar quarterback to win games. That's one of my biggest red flags in the G5, because some of these guys ride a stud QB from the G5 to a job. And then it's like, oh, wait a second. Was it him or was it the QB? He also doesn't seem to ride like a wonder kid coordinator who you worry about losing. Like we talked about this with Brent Key, right? I think Key's probably a pretty damn good coach, but I think a lot of people you talk to say, well, shoot, what is Key without Buster? Buster's kind of like the genius there. He goes to Tulane. They did have a superstar quarterback last year, a guy that was so good that Duke paid him $7 million for the remaining 3 of his career. And he took Duke to the AC title game, and now he's back in the American Championship. He lost his best coordinator to Oregon. They didn't drop off that much. Like to me, like there's a lot of experience there. Again, no idea if it'll work out, but I think Florida fans who are disappointed are drawing like unfounded comparisons between him and Billy.
Yes.
You talk to coaches in the Sun Belt, they thought Billy was shitty as a coach. Sorry for cussing here. Like, they're like, dude, with the resources Louisiana has, he should not be blowing games Jason Candle style. You don't hear the same thing about Summerall. Just my opinion.
It's mine too.
Also, the life in the Sun Belt West, even specifically, not even Sun Belt American comparisons, but the Sun Belt West. Sun Belt West. I mean, shoot. John can tell you. In the Sun Belt West.
We first guessed the Billy thing, remember?
Yeah, because we talked we also were looking at the competent to Brian Kelly. That one might have been that one was a whiff. But yeah, for Florida and for John Sumrall, this feels a little bit more like you are investing in a long-term strategy that you want to build and that you want to grow with John Sumrall as a head coach. I don't know. I mean, the way that things have gone with Lane Kiffin, I don't know if you could have any idea what might happen in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Yeah. For that purpose, Florida, I thumbs up there. All right. What about Golesh?
So,
go
ahead, Tom.
My favorite part of this is that last night before the Iron Bowl, there were all the reports that DJ Durkin was very much in consideration for this job, and that he had and then this morning it's Alex Golesh being announced as the head coach, which tells me that if Auburn had won the Iron Bowl last night, DJ Durkin would be their coach this morning, which tells me that Auburn, of all places, you're not going to believe this, they were going to put the entire program, consider it and base it on the result of one game against Alabama. As for the hire of Golesh, I think it's a much better hire than DJ Durkin would have been.
Ooh. Also, could DJ get retained?
I doubt it. I don't think Durkin's sticking around.
I mean,
if I'm hiring Alex Golesh and I liked what DJ Durkin was doing, I talked to Alex and I talked to DJ and I see if they think about trying to keep up the program on the defensive side of the ball.
So I don't totally disagree with that from a coaching standpoint. I do worry a little bit about the Palace intrigue stuff. Right? You know what I'm saying? Do you want to keep a guy on board who clearly part of the Auburn faction wanted to hire? I firmly believe that one of the reasons Auburn waited a little bit longer to fire Hugh Freeze is to try to basically not give Durkin enough momentum with that certain faction to get the Auburn job. That's what we talked about that on the show for a month before the Freeze firing happened. Why aren't they firing Hugh? like people are like, oh, who's the play caller? I'm like, they have 3 of them. Pick, right? They're not firing him because some of the cooler heads don't want the Durkin faction to win out on this thing. And if he went on a run, because there are winnable games down the stretch, maybe he gets the job. So look, he worked under Matt Campbell, right? He was the OC for Tennessee when they were like the best offense that they've been. I think, like, personally, just living in Florida, like, USF does a great job of scouting it. And like, they're going to lose a hell of a lot of players off that roster. And I think that's why Golesh had to jump, because they've done such a nice job scouting. There's no way they can afford to keep those guys. They're going to lose a lot of players off that USF roster. Some of whom should probably just follow him to Auburn, to be honest. Like, they got Singleton, the receiver. They got a pretty like young, promising D-end, like some premium position type guys who I think can play in the SEC and play well. If like the chat says, hey, does Golesh fit the mold of like superstar quarterback? Like, in riding that. In some ways, yeah, right? Like, you got to be frank about that. Like, we had Hendon Hooker at Tennessee, who wasn't a superstar before he got there, and Golesh, helped him with that system. I'm a little less worried about the superstar quarterback thing if you run like the Baylor Bryles stuff.
Yeah.
Because everybody puts up numbers in that offense. I mean, Aguilar is terrible, and he's still putting up numbers for Tennessee this year, right? So, yes, but because the system, slightly less worried about it, I guess.
Typical anti-Illini bias here. You don't mention that Golesh spent 4 seasons as the tight ends coach and the recruiting coordinator at Illinois under Tim Beckman before he joined Matt Campbell at Iowa State, who used to work under Tim Beckman. So Golesh comes off the Tim Beckman tree, damn it. He's not on the Bryles tree or the Heupel tree or whoever tree. He's a Tim Beckman protege. How
did that fruit taste off that tree, Tom?
Delicious.
Did it?
Illinois was the best MAC team in the Big Ten during the Tim Beckman era.
I mean, and in the division era, that was fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you needed. What is, and again, when coaches talk about the calendar, when coaches are, complaining one way or the other, one of the things they're also discussing is, the transfer portal, but Bud, signing day is Wednesday.
It is.
What are these 3 programs looking like from the signing day perspective? What work is even possible to do if you get hired on Sunday to secure, maintain, like what even can happen for Florida? I mean, Florida and Auburn in particular. I know Arkansas operates in a different pool when it comes to the recruiting scene, but for Florida and Auburn, what does that look like with an eye ahead to Wednesday's National Signing Day?
I mean, I think Florida's ready to win now. Honestly, like I think part of those guys kind of quit on Billy. Again, I'm very firmly of the belief that Lagway should have shut it down this year. He was not healthy in the offseason. His receivers weren't healthy in the offseason. He just never looked right to me, like, at all. But the pieces they have on that team, I think they're very ready, to win. Auburn, I think, actually has a decent class coming in, and Florida has a really nice class coming. I would expect most of those guys to stay. Auburn's class is not amazing, but they have a couple nice pieces. I think Florida's done a really good job putting this class together. Billy could always recruit. He just was a bad offensive coach and insisted on being the offensive coach, and was not a very good head coach. But I mean, in a different world, there are certain guys who I think are probably just so much better at one thing and should be in that role. I think Billy for a GM is, down the line would make a lot of sense. He's just not good at coaching football. But that roster's stacked. You watch the game on Saturday, physically, Florida State looks nothing like them, right? They do a nice job of scouting it. They got a lot of nice young pieces. They don't lose that much off this team if they can keep them together. So I think they're pretty ready to win. I also think in some ways Auburn, if they can keep Coleman, they can if Keldrick Falk doesn't go pro and some of these pieces, I don't think they're going to suck next year, right? Typically that offense hits immediately. There's not a lot of a waiting period if you're going to run that. What do they call it? The veer and shoot, I guess, because they don't want the Bryles stigma on it, which I get. Some of these guys who run this who weren't, coaching for Bryles probably don't want that, and that's fair, right? It's an offense at this point. That was a long time ago. So if you run this veer and shoot stuff, a lot of times there's not much of a break-in period. It's ready day one. We've seen this across the sport quite a bit. So not at ULM when they tried to put it in a month before the season. That was not the best, actually. But remember that the last year of Terry Bowden there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think both these programs should be fairly excited. And also, my main thing is just hire somebody with a good resume who you can be nimble enough if it doesn't work out. You don't want to get stuck in this new era where the players are the most important piece. See also Tallahassee.
Yep. I like to call it the spitting on the sideline offense. It just sounds really fun to say, and it actually does explain wide splits, even to people who might not understand about hash marks and wide splits. Yeah, spitting on the sideline. Wide receivers so close to the edge.
Why are they spitting on the sideline?
What? That's
what
you got to be close. What did the
sideline do to them?
Buddy, how much time you got? Okay. Well, first of all, that sideline wasn't there when I went up to make that catch. I don't know why my foot landed outside out of bounds. That was disrespectful by that sideline. I didn't see that sideline there. This could have been a first down. Now you're saying incomplete pass? You can talk about that little chalk mark out there? No way.
That's the problem with the kids today.
It's also like we did have a balance of power shift in the SEC today. You know who reps Golesh and Sumrall?
Yeah, not
Silverfield.
Not the guy who reps Lane.
Not Jimmy Sexton. It's Clint, who was Sexton's number 2. And is seen as the guy that like eventually will probably become the next Sexton.
And he's at a different agency? Yeah.
Clint just needs to get somebody on that game day set.
In the worst way.
Well, I mean, listen, this is far outside of my expertise here. But if you want to avoid some of what we dealt with in this coaching cycle, I mean, who knows? Maybe it just becomes there's a new king in town. Right?
Wait, so Clint also reps Elko and Drink.
Oh, so he's just become. Never mind.
I may be wrong on him repping Silverfield. Silverfield might have stayed with Jimmy.
Okay.
So he either has 4 or 5 in the SEC now, which is like that's a different balance of power.
And maybe means more raises for Drink and Elko, who they themselves were popular names on some of the fan fiction boards before they signed their own big extensions, during this coaching cycle.